This is my job. This is what I do for a living. I solve problems. That's what makes me the leader. That's why I got promoted. Somebody thinks I'm capable of solving problems. I want to share with you what I believe to probably be the single greatest difference between a young leader and a mature leader. I've been in leadership for a really long time. I actually have a degree in leadership, and I studied leadership in both high school and college. And so as I look back at my own life, I started to identify this trend, this big difference between who I once was, and what I've learned and who I am now as a leader. And now that we train other leaders and we coach other leaders, and we also are always developing leaders internally, and we're helping our clients develop leaders, I'm noticing the same trend exists for other people, that it wasn't just me in my own life, that this is actually a natural part of the progression of becoming a great leader. And that through this one very, very simple and straightforward concept, you can pretty quickly identify somebody who is a young leader versus someone who is a mature leader. And here's how you do it. You look at their response to problems. You look at their response to problems. The single fastest way to tell if somebody is a young leader or a mature leader is by looking at the way they respond to problems. Because here's how the natural progression typically works. This may not be 100% of the time true, but I can look back in my own life and in our clients and our experience, et cetera, and go, this is pretty spot on. So what happens is, where do leaders come from? Leaders typically come from being somebody being promoted because they did a good job. And you go, okay, you're doing a great job. You're really good at this. And so I want to promote you. I want to give you more responsibility. I want to make you the leader. And there's a big shift here that most people don't realize. When people get promoted, they often think, oh, I did such a good job. Now I'm becoming a leader. I just need to do more of the thing I've been doing. But it's completely the opposite. Being a leader is not about doing more good things that you've been doing. It's about trying to help other people to get to do those good things. And you probably got promoted because you were really good at doing things. You were efficient. You were timely. You were reliable. Whatever, you produced a great result. And so what happens is a young leader gets hit with problems because now they're leading other people, and other people are creating problems because other people don't perform as well as they performed as an individual leader. Well, guess what? That is leadership. That's why you're the leader, because you're capable and equipped to deal with problems. But what young leaders do is they complain about problems. They get frustrated that they're having problems because they're not used to dealing with problems. They're not used to having difficult situations because they're used to doing things well themselves. But when you become a leader, there's lots of problems. There's problems created by other people. And it will feel to a young leader somehow unfair. It will feel like they're taking the brunt of other people's mistakes. And here's the second way to identify someone who's a young leader. So they will blame other people. They will point out, they will spend time and energy pointing out who is responsible for the problem. Why do they do that? Well, because they're frustrated, and because they also don't want the fact that there is a problem to reflect poorly on them, because they're used to having their reputation be protected by excellence, the fact that they do things well. And so it becomes a strike to them. They internalize it as a strike to them that there are these problems. And so what they do is they complain that there are problems, and often they will blame. They will point out, they will make it clear to everyone who is the source of the problem, so that they're protecting themselves and their own ego and maybe their reputation, so that other people know they're not the source of the problem. How do mature leaders respond to problems? Mature leaders respond differently to problems. The first thing that they do is they accept that there are problems. You see, a mature leader knows that leadership is about problems. Leadership is about nothing other than solving problems. A mature leader wastes no time, no energy, and no resources being frustrated that there is a problem. A mature leader knows that problems are what give them job security. That leadership is dealing with problems. That's why you're the leader. You're capable and competent and able to deal with these problems. And so once you're used to this, like at some point you become sort of detached from the idea, the emotions of the fact that there's problems. You expect them because you become wise enough to know, oh, problems is leadership. That's the job, is solving problems. And so while most young leaders complain, what mature leaders do is they reframe. They reframe problems as like, oh, this is somehow a weakness in me or my character, or everything is falling apart and the world is, not right, and all these emotions. And they reframe it to go, oh no, this is my job. This is what I do for a living. I solve problems. That's what makes me the leader. That's why I'm here. That's why I got promoted. Somebody thinks I'm capable of solving problems. And if you're the entrepreneur, then that means you made that decision, or God made that decision to place that calling on your life, that you're responsible and able to solve really, really big problems. So the other thing that mature leaders do, which is really, really different, is they don't spend time worrying about who the person is that is responsible for the problem. They instead just spend their time rearranging things to solve the problem. They have been through enough problems that they now have the perspective and the wisdom and the experience and the repetition of knowing, pointing out who is responsible for the problem does virtually nothing to help resolve the problem. It might save face for you, but you weren't put in leadership role to save face or to build your ego. You were put in a leadership role to solve problems. And so what mature leaders do that not everybody else can do is they quickly move beyond whose fault is it, and they instead move quickly to finding the solution. They don't blame, they rearrange. They rearrange things. They find another way. They figure it out. They rearrange roles. They rearrange resources. They rearrange their time. They dig into the details and they rearrange who's responsible for what. And they rearrange things so that they can solve problems. So if you put all this together, what do you find? It's actually very, very simple. What young leaders do is they complain and blame. What mature leaders do is they reframe and rearrange. Young leaders complain and blame. Mature leaders reframe and rearrange. You can identify the level of maturity that a leader has simply and solely by looking at their attitude and how they view problems, and in their behaviors, their actions, their responses to problems. Because guess what? If you have problems, that means that you're the leader. And that's why you're there, because you are capable of solving those problems. Problems is the job. That's what leadership is all about.